So I want to start off by just explaining again a little bit. I know a few of you are on the last community call, which I was talking about the hub, but I want to just explain a little bit about what we're doing in the hub, how this fits into it. You'll notice that Gareth has just put a post out there as well about the hypnotherapy directory. So this is actually all intrinsically linked. So the hypnotherapy directory and the hub and the supervision have all kind of manifested separately, but all now kind of are coalescing and merging together. And so the reason why I want to do this tonight is because most people aren't aware of what supervision is and mentoring, and they're not aware of the value. So I want to explain it without going into detail. I want to share with you. I'm going to do some demos if anybody's up for it. I hope they are, because otherwise it will be pointless. I want to share with you kind of the stumbling blocks that I've found, the things that I listen to in the RTT alumni. For anybody who's not RTT, that's just the Facebook group for that. And what I hear in other hypnotherapy groups that doesn't happen in any other modality. And this is where supervision closes that gap. I've just seen a post today that said, I've got this person, they've got epilepsy, can I work with them? Posts like that scare the absolute crap out of me. And I'll tell you why. The vast majority of courses out there, the vast majority, 99.9% of courses out there are transactional, informational, and transactional process. What that means is they are selling you information and they are selling you a structure in which you deliver that information, whether that be a session, whether that be marketing, whatever it is. What's missing, however, is the experience. Because like driving a car, you can learn to drive a car, but then all of a sudden, if you learn to drive a car in the UK and you have to go to France, that driving experience is different, right? You've got to learn it a different way. Equally, if we're looking at this from a hypnotherapy perspective, you may have a client who comes to you and says, oh yeah, I'm just feeling a little bit down. And all of a sudden you open Pandora's box and there's complex trauma. Okay. That's just on the clinical side. So from a supervision perspective, there's clinical side. So just to give you a bit of information about me from a clinical perspective, I've not got a master's degree or doctorate. Okay, mine's all lived experience, but I'm an advanced clinical hypnotherapist accredited with GHR. Okay, so that's as high as you can get in GHR, and I'm also a clinical hypnotherapy supervisor. Now, to my knowledge, I am the world's first RTT supervisor, or should I say, independently accredited clinical supervisor who specializes in RTT, because I can't say I'm an RTT supervisor because I don't work for the school anymore. But I am the world's first person to qualify in that. So that is my claim to fame. And as Joe will attest, when we worked at the school together, I have been pushing supervision since about 2020. The only reason the clinical course has supervision on it now is because I pushed for it. Because on any clinical program, any accredited body, you have to have supervision. Now, if you do want to join GHR, APHP, any of the accrediting bodies, and you are probably under 3 years in practice, they will ask for a named supervisor. Okay, it's a fact, because any of those accrediting bodies know there is a big difference between learning something and applying it. And at the end of the day, do no harm should be the mantra that everybody has. Okay, so I've been very, very lucky in the fact that I have spent personal time, like Joe, with Marissa on lives. I've quizzed her on lives. I've been part of the inner workings. I helped write the clinical course, the latest clinical course, along with Sarah and her team. So I have been very much in the background, but a lot of the stuff that I dealt with when I was at the schools around professional standards, dealing with the stuff when it went wrong to make sure John and Marissa didn't get in trouble. Okay. So there's that compliance aspect of it, there's the branding aspect of it, there's how you show up in your business. One of the things that I want everybody to do is win. And the reason why I want everybody to win is that I didn't have that supervision. I did. I went out and got it independently, but the people didn't know this modality. And so if you want to close the gap to success, whether that be in your client caseloads, looking at how the methodology is put in place, certainly if it's around complex trauma, confidence, speaking, anxiety, any of those topics, that's basically where I specialize in. My teacher is one of the best supervisor trainers in the UK. She is a psychotherapist, specializes in psychosexual disorders. So that's kind of that part of it. The second part of that is the mentoring aspect of it. So when we look at those processes of transactional information, transactional processes, and transactional experience, the mentoring is about what actually happens in the real world. How can I look at that as from a different perspective? Now, I might ask Richard to just, Richard's actually working with me at the moment, just to share his experience so you can hear what he's saying and how it's helped him with his clients. So, I mean, Richard, do you want to just say a few words on kind of how it's kind of shifted the needle for you? And I'll just spotlight you.
Sure.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, apart from the very importantly that I do no harm, and nobody goes out of their way to do harm. So there's that what I call ethics, compliance, just making sure that I do no harm, and this is really important for me, regardless of joining the various professional bodies. Clearly all of us want to do the best by our clients. And I get that from Marcus. By the way, he's not paying me because I do get a lot from him. Because here's the thing, and this is really cool. What Marcus then does is translate that into how I can help the client gain a richer experience so that they have such a good experience that they feel that much better after the session. And I've got an example of this. Sorry, Marcus, you're going to regret asking me. I've got an example of it. So there are particular skills and particular tools and techniques that don't go off program if you're an RTT therapist, but they do enhance the client experience. So, for example, Marcus shared a tool with me before last Saturday. I was seeing a client. I don't normally see clients on a Saturday, but I made an exception for this particular person. And this person was struggling from anxiety. And Marcus, one of the tools that you've shared with me, well, there were two. One is using the term dehypnotize, okay? And I'm not going to steal your thunder on that. But the other was breath work, and then thinking of a trigger that causes anxiety. What level do they give it? It's normally an 8, a 9 out of 10. Then as they say, give themselves permission to feel that way, then it drops a little. And anyway, I don't want to steal your thunder, Marcus, because you might be covering these tools. Doing the
no, that's perfect. I mean, I'll do, yeah. In regards to one of the things I just want to quickly ask you, I've spotlighted you. You're in the frame here. You can do all the talking.
I can see that.
I'm quite happy not to be talking. One of the things I just want to quickly ask though is, even when you know something is right, how valuable have you found it to be able to have that reflection, that mirror, just to check in? How has your confidence gone up with your clients and your ability to serve your clients with confidence, having had those conversations?
Absolutely, yeah, totally. And not only just, I will do it here, but it seems to almost, the tools you share, Marcus, I find I have confidence to morph them in at the right time. It's not I will do it at the beginning of every session. I might do it as part of the regression, the breath work. Does that make sense? I might do it afterwards as part of a follow-up. Yeah. I might share it with a prospect, who I can tell on screen or face to face is highly anxious if we were to use that tool. I appreciate there I'm giving it away, but I think I've taken a tip from you, and I remember seeing it on the school on one of the videos. Always, even if they don't become a client, give them something, leave them with something. And I think that's a really cool thing to do, because 9 times out of 10 they'll recommend you or they'll come back.
Thank you for that, Richard. And by the way, he didn't know I was going to do that. That wasn't planned. I just said to him, was he coming tonight? It would be useful to hear from somebody who's worked with me. So the next thing about this is about that confidence piece, because, and I'm going to be quite crass about this. If you build more confidence, if you build more tools into your practice, you can charge more money if you expand your toolkit. But what I want to do is I want to just, in case, because my old compliance job, okay, the rules say you cannot do anything in the middle of an RTT session. You can't put breath work in an RTT session, right? Or you can't put Reiki in an RTT session. Okay, so the first thing is this. RTT is a framework and it's a structure. We do use breath work, okay? We use breath work on the induction. Roll your eyes up, take a deep breath in and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. So all we're doing is we're adding extensions, or we're manipulating or changing. There's a tool that I taught Richard, which is a different version of quickly doing RFPI. So they all link in. However, one of the other things that supervision and mentoring is useful for is there was a post recently in the alumni, for example, an ad had gone out for, I think it's the new AI, and people were kicking off going, well, there's an AI saying we don't need therapy, where are our jobs? And I simply wrote in there, if you don't own the brand, you don't own the product, you don't have a business. Marissa and John have got a product, they've got a business, they can do whatever they want with it. You might have paid your money, but it's nothing to do with you, what they do with it. So I always say this, RTT, Ericksonian hypnosis, whatever the modality you've got, number one, people don't care what you use, they just want the result. Number two, build your brand. So that's the other thing, is that instead of hiding behind the brand, instead of hiding behind Marissa and hiding behind, Aaron Beck for CBT or whatever it is, like, notice nobody talks about Aaron Beck, but they talk about CBT, right? The most successful people in the world do not talk about the product or the methodology. They talk about the results that they get. So this is the reason why Sarah came on to do the PR. It's the reason why Kate's coming on to do the color stuff. I'm trying to give you all of these tools and all of these different things to help you build your brand so you can survive alone. So if anything was to happen with hypnotherapy and it got made illegal or something, all right, that you could stand on your own as somebody who helps people within your own brand. That's what Marissa's done. Marissa's work is based on the work of Gil Boyne. Go and look at Gil Boyne's research, right? She's just been able to package it in a way that makes it easy to teach. So there's nothing stopping you from doing that. But Marissa had the teachers, Gil Boyne was one of her supervisors. There would have been other supervisors. She's standing on the shoulders of giants. Now, I'm not saying I'm a giant, but I have had the opportunity to work with some of the best transformation coaches in the world. As you know, I've worked at I did a year at Mind Valley and learned from them. So I can bring all this experience to you. How does that fit in with the hypnotherapy directory? Everybody wants clients. Gareth has spent a small fortune. I'm not going to say how much he spent, but it's a lot of money, because he knows how difficult it is to get clients. And he's working with a guy called Mark, who's a complete geek, like a proper genius. He's like AIing everything. But he's creating a platform where the SEO for that platform will start to bring stuff in. Now, one of the things that when I was speaking to him about this was to make sure that he avoided as much risk as possible. And so to be on that platform, there may be restrictions about if you don't have a supervisor, or if you're not in the hub, or you're not in that community, if you haven't got that support, you will not be able to go on that. And the reason for that is, like Richard's just said, you never know when something's going to go wrong. I want to be able to offer anybody who comes and works with me on supervision to be part of an inner circle. And what that inner circle will be is it'll be like the hypnotherapy hub, but it will be a place where you can all work with each other and learn from each other. I'm about to take on Amanda Andrews. I'm sure she won't mind me saying, right? She's going to come and work with me for the next 3 months. And I'm going to be giving her the opportunity to do things like this. So if, for example, you've got a product, a course, you've got a webinar, maybe you're going to have to do something online, do a talk, and you want to test it, you can use the Hypnotherapy Hub to do it. But this is where it comes down to that transactional thing, right? So I'm going to go to the other three areas, which are non-transactional. So non-transactional information, non-transactional processes, and non-transactional experience is what we all want. It's basically give me everything for free. And the non-transactional experience is somebody who is highly experienced that gives you all of their experience for free. They elevate you for free, right? That's what we all want. But at the end of the day, this is the thing that I want you to take away. Good people with money can change the world. Now, that's not my phrase. That came from Vishen Lakhani. When I would speak to Vishen about something, and he gave me that mindset phrase. The problem we've got is that how many of us have invested quite a sum of money and we haven't had the return on investment. And the reason for that is that most of the time it's transactional information and transactional processes. How many more courses are you going to do? How much more information do you want, right? What you once you've graduated from something, you need experience. And so working with me, yes, there is a transaction. But that transaction for 6 hours, so that's 6 sessions, which is basically what the accrediting bodies say the minimum amount of supervision you should have in 12 months is £347. Do the maths. It's not a lot of money when you're taking, I've probably spent in excess of £60,000 in training, getting people into the rooms. So 347 quid is not a lot of money. Now, what my intention is going to be, and I'm just sharing this because honesty and integrity is my main thing. So the thing that I'm hoping to do is to get this in a circle. So anybody who comes into the inner circle, probably the first 10 people, 20 people, I want to then start building resources that you can use. There's already some on the Hypnotherapy Hub at the moment, AIs and all that kind of thing. You will get the inner circle for free for life as long as you want it. What I was then intending to do was to make it a membership, $9.99 a month, so you can get access to those resources, get access to extra little things like this. Again, not a massive amount of money. I'm not underselling this. What I'm doing is I want to make it accessible, because to get information and to get these processes, people are charging thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. So the way that I'm looking at this is I want to give you massive value for a relatively low investment that you'll then go and tell other people. And what happens is we all grow together. It's not an MLM, by the way. I'm not creating some sort of multi-level marketing scheme. What you'll find is that with a lot of organizations, you've got the people at the top, a massive gap in the middle, and everybody else at the bottom floundering around. I don't want to do that. I want all of us to up level together. So as I up level, you up level, and then you bring somebody else in beneath you, not as part of some sort of club or some sort of membership. It's just you're saying, I've gained value here. Come and join what we're doing. That's my plan. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know. That said, you didn't come here to listen to me prattling on on all of this stuff and trying to sell you something. Okay. If you go to mindmentor.co.uk, you can find out more about the supervision. I am going to be updating that because it's at the moment it's more supervision, but I'm adding mentoring into that. And so I'll finally give you this because this might be helpful for when you're working with clients. Therapy helps you deal with the past. Coaching helps you create the strategies for the future. That's what most people are selling. Most people are selling therapy and coaching. Mentorship closes the gap through all of that through experience. So if you want more information, go and do more courses. It's not going to shift the needle more than likely, and it's not going to get you any more clients, and it's not going to create the life that you want. But if you want to learn from somebody who has failed a lot, if you want to learn from somebody who's been screwed over more times than I've had hot dinners and come out the other side, if you want to learn how you avoid all of those sharks out there, then it's worth having a conversation with me. That said, is there anybody who wants to come on camera now and have a free supervision session? Now, what normally happens, as Richard will know, is that you'd book in with me, tell me what you wanted to talk about, and I've got a little bit of an idea of what we might do with it. Okay. In this case, we're not. I charge £97 an hour just to do one-off supervision, right? So just to give you I want people to do 6 sessions because then we can build it up. Is there anybody here who has got a present client case? They've got a challenge or a problem or something they don't understand, or maybe you want to know how you can up-level your business or how you can talk about what you do. Emma, what is the challenge? What is the thing that you want to try and work out?
Okay, so I met a young lady this morning who came for an intake call. She has a lot of anxiety. She's gone through several her childhood was very chaotic because her parents split, her mother turned to alcohol, she then lived with her dad, then they got back together, and all this went on. So there's that going on. She then had her first child at I think the age of 18, 17 or 18. Then there was problems with custody with that child. She moved to the Isle of Wight, which is where I live. And when then she met her present guy, who she had a son with. 6 weeks early, the baby was born. And when they managed to get him home, he stopped breathing because he had bronchitis and issues. So he stopped breathing. They had to give him resuscitation, and then he was flown over to Southampton Hospital. She had that, so that occurred. Then a couple of years later, her father was beaten up and has suffered brain damage from that and is not the same person that he used to be. And then her mum has died of liver problems due to the alcohol. And she just said, I just feel she's had some grief counselling, but she said she feels extremely fearful all the time, worrying all the time, quite anxious. She was very. I always do a trial hypnosis so that people understand what it's like to go into hypnosis. For her session is tomorrow night, and I could tell she's quite anxious. She was fine talking to me, but she was quite anxious. And when we did the induction and stuff, and I did this little hypnosis with her, afterwards she said, I don't think I was doing it right. I don't think because I still had thoughts coming into my head. And I said to her, we all have thoughts coming into our head. and you are used to just listening to this overthinking way of being. And it's, it's fine. And I've given her previously some little mindfulness 2-minute things to listen to. So just to get, because she'd already said she's overthinking all the time. So just to get her into the practice of bringing herself back when she gets a little thought, just coming back to being present. And she'd said she'd done that, but she finds it really difficult. And she's saying, "Oh, I think there's something wrong with me. I don't know if I can do it or not." And I said, "Look," I said, "I've got a little hypnotic trance that you can take away and do to practice going down the steps and all the rest of it." And then I said, "I've got time if you want to do it again." So we did it again, and the second time she was much better. She was much better. She said, "Oh yeah, no, that was better." It's things like walking her down the steps, you know. She said, "Oh, that I'd visualize the steps, and I'd visualize some steps that I know, but I already knew that I was at the bottom when you were on 4." And her mind is just, do you know what I mean, racing ahead. But having said that, like I say, the second time she felt much better about it. But I'm just wondering, what can I do tomorrow night to really ensure that she is in hypnosis? Because I think do you know what I mean?
So one of the biggest challenges that when we're working with clients is we tend to use language, trance, hypnosis, whatever, right? So the first thing to do, and this is a trick that I do, and Richard will know this, I do it all the time, and I do it with my clients as well, okay, is her mind is racing. So do you know the polyvagal theory? You aware of the
Not
polyvagal?
fully.
Okay, so anybody watching this, go and research the polyvagal theory. It's amazing, by Stephen Porges, right? So the polyvagal theory basically explains trauma, but it just happens to beautifully match with the way in which we do hypnosis. Okay, so if you imagine a triangle, at the top is green, flow, life is great. Second line down is our fight or flight response. So something happens which is out of our comfort zone, but if we feel supported, we can move back into the green. That's where your talking therapy can come in really, really, a listening ear, making you feel heard. You can get back into flow. The third part now is the freeze part. Okay, so it's part of your brain called the dorsal prefrontal cortex. It's the newest part of our brain. It's where we communicate from. Now, when you're in the red zone, you're basically in the amygdala. You're in your caveman brain and cavewoman brain. And so what happens is you might be able to hear logic, but you can't process it. And therefore, that's probably where she is. Now, this isn't the polyvagal theory. This is the Marcus Matthews theory. But there's a layer below that. And I've been doing some research around embryonic development, because I've got a theory that actually the nervous system is the thing that's right at the bottom. This is where breath work works, right? So the lower you go down, so we go from high functioning flow state through to, my brain's starting to shut down, get a bit of anxiety, a bit of cortisol's coming through. So body is completely covered in cortisol now. I'm kind of a freezing wreck, to spiritually now I don't know who I am, and I'm starting to like lose it completely, and my nervous system is completely wrecked, right? So the lower you go down that pyramid, imagine it's human evolution. We started off as this little flash of light, and then from that we grew this brain. The lower you go down, the less you need to do. But I'll ask you a question. What is the first and primary thing that your mind is there for?
Survival.
To keep you safe.
Yeah.
Okay, and it works based on predictions, most of which are lies. Okay, both conscious and subconscious. So the first thing that you need to be able to do is to be able, and this is something that isn't taught. I used to get told off for teaching this at live events. the first thing you need to do is to work through from the thought to the feeling. So if she's telling you all of this information, it's great, but it's completely irrelevant.
Mm.
Okay. And so I'll do this. I'll do this with everybody now. I'll demonstrate this. It's very, very simple. Okay. So you said that she had anxiety. Yeah. Do you ever suffer from anxiety? Do you ever like get anxious? Like everybody who didn't volunteer to come up must have been anxious or fearful of stepping up. Okay. So all I want everybody to do is very simply this. Just close your eyes. So if you close your eyes now, because I'm going to show you, and this is what I do in supervision. I'm not just giving you information. I'm going to show you the experience. So close your eyes. Now, I want you to say, I have anxiety.
I have anxiety.
And notice where you feel it in your body. Okay, whatever the feeling is, you might not have anxiety, but just feel how the words penetrate your body, right? Okay, now I want you to focus on that feeling. And now I want you to say this. I just care.
I just care.
And notice how that feeling shifts. What happens to that feeling? Does it dissolve slightly? Does it feel more of a truth?
Okay. Yeah, it dissipates.
Anybody else who just did that, just type in the chat and Joe, have a look what people say. What happened to you? Because what I'm doing now is I'm allowing your nervous system to express itself into a truth. Everything that you told me about your client, this is what came up for me. This is what I wrote down. I don't overthink, I overcare. I'm always there for everybody else, but nobody's there for me. So what's the point? All of that stuff you just told me, that's what that came down to. And so if there's nobody to care for her, she needs to care for herself. And so the next thing that I would have done there, this is a really, really, really powerful word. Okay. And I'll take you through this. This is something that I've given Richard, but this is, you can do this on a discovery call. You can do it at any time, right? But if you're overwhelmed, remember your mind's job is to keep you safe, correct? And it's based on prediction. So close your eyes again. Think of something that winds you up, something that makes you anxious. Just get like, I don't want to traumatize anybody, but just do that. Okay. Now I want you to focus on the feeling, not the story. And I just want you to say this. I'm completely safe.
I'm completely safe.
My mind and my body are just trying to help me.
My mind and my body are just trying to help me.
I give myself permission to feel this feeling right now.
Give myself permission to feel this feeling right now.
I'm completely safe. I'm completely safe.
I'm completely safe.
My mind and body are just trying to help me.
My mind and body are just trying to help me.
And that's okay.
It's okay.
And notice how that feeling starts to soften. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, the reason that technique works, and there's other techniques, I don't know if, there's an NLP technique which is called anchoring, where you can use a word just to dissolve that. So if you're in the middle of a shopping center and like you wanted to do that, people would think you were crazy, right? So there's a way of then adding that where you just create a word and the nervous system just completely relaxes. I use it all the time. So that's just a technique that you can use, that if she's going through a moment, you just use that technique, and it's so simple, it's so repeatable and so easy. But the key is linking the word to the feeling. Okay, now I'm gonna back this up with a bit of researched evidence, which is my theory. Okay, it's called the God theory. So I started to look at spiritual texts, the Bible, not as a religious book, but a set of codes. And what's very interesting in the Bible is neuroscience is actually mentioned, and everything you need to know about manifestation is all in the Bible, right? So I'm not being a religious nut here, okay? I am a Christian. It's something that I've been in for the last 2 years, but this fascinates me. So when Moses is on Mount Sinai and God reveals himself, what does God say? Granted, it would be in Aramaic or whatever, but he says, I am that I am. So anything when you say, the reason why Marissa says, I am enough, okay, is you're basically invoking God. But here's the problem. Have you ever had that word or that client, if you were to say to that client, okay, and you're free, and say, I'm free from all of this pain, I'm free from, they're going to go, no, I'm not. Because there's a voice in the head, the ego is going, no, you're not. So you can BS your way through it, but it's not a felt sense. But actually, if you look at the Trinity, okay, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the Word of God matched with the vibrational resonance of the Holy Spirit came manifesting Jesus Christ. It's law of attraction. Okay, well, the Bible literally tells you how to do law of attraction. So what we're doing here is that we need to be able to match the words to an internal vibrational truth. The world had externally told her that when everything was falling apart and she was having a crisis, here's a label, you've got anxiety. Your client doesn't have anxiety. She just deeply cares and she's given so much. Her body is trying to help her. Her body is trying to protect her. There's nothing wrong with her. Her body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's trying to pull her away from all of that chaos because she's probably drained.
Yeah.
And just allowing her, the most powerful word is, and that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me, I'll show you how this works. Give me a thing that you say about yourself where you put yourself down.
Oh, I'm stupid.
I'm stupid, right? Watch this. Ready? Close your eyes. Say, I'm stupid.
I'm stupid.
Notice how that feels.
And
And then say, and that's okay.
that's okay.
And notice what happens to the feeling.
Sorry?
Notice what happens to the feeling.
Yeah, it does soften. It does
softens, right?
dissipate.
So from a
Yeah.
neuroscience perspective, what's happening is we are basically cell commanding the nervous system to say, hey, it's safe. Like, welcome. I've just written an article on this, Ferrari in a war zone. We all need a garage. And if the garage, so as I would call it, the non-transactional experience, that person who gives you that space that goes, I've got you, rest, I'll do it. If that person isn't available, then you've got to be that person for yourself. And so this is where we start to move into Jungian psychology. I'm a massive Jung fan, where we're starting to embrace the shadow. We're embracing the chaos. Once we get to there, we can then start to allow the subconscious mind to open up. Really, really works with anybody who's neurodivergent, anybody who's gone through complex trauma, because you cannot, unless you've got the nervous system completely settled, there is no way that you are going to get to where you need to get to, because that person has to intrinsically trust you. You've got to hold them. You've got to really get into that feminine energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So does that help in regards to how you might be able to help that client?
Yeah.
To just
come down a bit
before
she's even
the session, and you can use that at any point within the session. Okay. Now the other way you can use breath work. Okay. There's another technique that I use, which is called the thermometer method, which is another way in which, when you've got all this stuff going down, I actually invented it for myself. It's a neurodiverse tool. But it's a way in which you can get the brain back online. I've got loads of tools. That's just one of them, but it's the most basic. And what it means is that when your client goes away from the session, yes, we want them to listen to their recording, but you get them to feel the words, that it's a truth in that moment. I'll give you another phrase as well for your client. This is a Louise Hay technique, and it just works. Okay. So again, I'll show you this, but you can use this with your client. What is something that feels impossible to you? So for your client, it's feeling that she's in control and that she's cared for and all the right that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What's the feeling? What's the thing that you think you'll never be able to achieve? Like, go big.
Oh God, I can't think. um,
Like, if I could go bibbity bobbity boo and you could have anything in the world that you wanted, but it seems impossible to get it.
Financial freedom, I suppose.
Financial freedom. So financial freedom. So close your eyes. I want financial freedom.
I want financial freedom.
Notice how that feels in your body. Probably quite resistant, I would have thought. It's like, yeah, whatever, Marcus. Shut up, get me off the camera. I've had enough now. You've had your fun, right? So close your eyes, just say it again. I want financial freedom.
I want financial freedom.
Now, notice that feeling. And now say this. Wouldn't it be nice if I had financial freedom?
Wouldn't it be nice if I had financial freedom?
And now notice what happens to that feeling. How did you experience that?
Yeah, it opens up. It opens up a bit.
Yeah. So my analogy there is I am head to toe covered in crap and I stink. And there's a boiling hot bath there. Would you just jump straight into that boiling hot bath, or would you put a toe or a hand in it first?
You test it, yeah.
You test it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can guarantee you don't want financial freedom.
I want peace.
You want peace, right? Okay, so I'm glad that you hooked into that, right? You want peace. Can't buy peace, but you can give yourself that right now. Wouldn't it be nice if I could feel peace right now? And I've got some other tools. I've got something called the quantum imprinting method. Joe, I think I shared that with you when I first invented it. And it's a way in which you take you take a feeling of peace from a past memory and you transplant it into a future self. Again, it's not an RTT tool. The benefit of all of these things that I'm giving you is they are tools and experience wrapped around and filling in the gaps where when you just go and do a training course and it's very sterile, you don't get any of this, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so this is the power of supervision. That's a great scenario, right? You want to desperately help that person. They're willing to invest in you. How can you people don't want therapy. People want experience. And the thing that will stop you from being kicked out of a job when AI and AGI comes in. I've got a very good friend who's building something at the moment in Dubai. It is phenomenal. You would not know that it was AI. It's genius, right? But the one thing that an AI will never be able to do, because I've looked into this, spoken to a lot of people, I've got a theory on how I can make AI conscious, but you'd need a computer the size of the Earth to do it, is experience. How can I create a safe space for my client to unpack this stuff without judgment, shame, validation, or expectation? Does that help?
Yeah.
Has anybody got any comments from that? Becky, Caroline, Ruth, is there anything that came up for you? Did that make sense? Would that work in your own? Just come off the mic if you want. I'll just thank you, Emma. Round of applause for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I'll just unpin you. Okay. Has anybody got any questions on that? Feel free to just ask any questions. Becky.
No, I just unmiked myself, but I did find it really helpful. Because I haven't quite qualified yet. I'm due to take my practical next month, but I found it really helpful because they don't really cover that sort of thing in the training.
And it's just applied information. It's like anything else, you know, you become a doctor. Can a doctor just become a surgeon? No. So it's all about that continual professional development. And most people think that continual professional development is, I'm going to go and buy another course, I'm going to go buy another course, I'm going to buy another course. And the reason why that gets marketed and pitched to you is because by selling you another course, somebody is making money and you're giving some more information, but the application of using that in the real world. So why go and spend £4,000 on another course when you can spend 347 quid and find out what you actually want and shift that needle? Does that make sense? So that's the reason why I'm doing this, because this is not available. And this isn't just RTT, it's generally not available in this area, whether that be coaching, whether that be, you know, not therapy, traditional therapy. But yeah, so I hope that helps. Has anybody got any questions? Because I don't want to keep everybody here all night. But was it useful? Joe, was there any questions in the chat?
The chat box, everyone, when you done that, when you said, you know, say to yourself, I feel anxious, and then you took that away, basically everyone said it feels lighter, less intense. Becky said it felt like the pressure in her chest moved outwards to feel lighter rather than feeling like a tight knot. That's a really great way to explain it, because that's how I felt. And then Ruth is saying we use this method in havening. It's called affirmational havening.
Yeah.
What if I felt in peace?
And again, havening, again, when we look at that structure, I've never done havening, but I've sat down and had several gallons of coffee speaking to Paul McKenna, who obviously does a lot with havening. And I've used that havening technique before, the physical touch. Okay. One of the things I will just mention this, because again, I'm doing a little bit of a research on this from a neurodiversity perspective. What's really, really interesting is you know that most people say when it comes to the mind from a chemical perspective, they talk about serotonin and dopamine, don't they? Everything's. Did you know that you can't produce oxytocin in pill format? So oxytocin, the love hormone, the bonding hormone, the connection hormone, right? I'm doing some research on it at the moment, so don't take that as a thing. But you can't buy oxytocin in a pill. You can't buy love in a pill. But actually, the thing that we all want to feel is love. And so I'll leave you with my little phrase, which is this. When it comes to looking at what you're doing in your practice and looking at information and transactional process, truth is a belief. And we know a belief is a thought and a feeling, right? So a truth is a belief agreed upon by multiple people with either influence and or power. Our job is to help clients find their own truth. And that's basically what I can help you do with supervision. And just on Joe's last point, is the other element of supervision is, how many times have you felt overwhelmed with a client? Marissa does have a good thing. She said, put your finger in a flame, right? If you get into emotional. But sometimes if you get that overwhelm and you want to serve your clients and you're desperately, that little trick that just says, I'm completely safe, my mind and my body is just trying to help me. I give myself permission to feel this feeling. I deeply care for my client. I'm not anxious. I deeply care that I get the right results. That's why I started this group. It's why I'm doing this tonight, to talk about supervision. I'm not doing it for free. Okay. And because this is what I actually believe. Good people with money can change the world. And I want you as good people to earn good money so you can change the world. Because if we can all drop one pebble and start that ripple, all of the people out there that are screwing people over, all the people out there that are just giving transactional information, transactional processes, they will disappear, and all that will be left is the good people, and the world will be a nicer place. So that's what I'm asking you to invest in if you want to come and work with me. I'm a good person, and I deserve money so I can help more people who are good people, and it's as simple as that. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's the reason why we set the hub up. But I can't do it alone. I need people to come on this journey with me. And as Richard will attest, and he can open his mic if he wants, Richard, do I tend to over deliver and over give to make sure that you definitely know what's happening at the end of the session?
That is absolutely true. In fact, I have to remind Marcus that we've gone over an hour and 10, an hour and 15, because usually I've got an appointment. So I run, Marcus runs over his own time, which is lovely because you don't clock watch. In saying that, it's very powerful what we get here. And Emma, that technique that Marcus took you through, I took a client who that was so anxious. I got them to score that feeling, and they were at a 9. And after I did that, without a word of a lie, it came down to a 7, and then with a bit of breath work, it came down to a 4. And I did that before I took them into the regression.
And that normally was in less than a minute.
Yeah, it was like a couple of minutes, if that. And I did it at the end again as well. Yeah.
But it's a great, easy tool that as your client's going through the 21 days, right? So you've all probably heard of the healing crisis. So between the first 7 to 10 days of going through any change, the mind is desperately trying to cling on to everything, right? And so if we get the clients to use that, we're giving them this added value of just being in the moment and getting the nervous system back on track. And what actually starts to happen is, as clients start to use that, they start to trust their own feelings. That technique that I said around words and vibration, okay, it's kinesthesiology basically, but you're checking in. What is the vibration of that word? So I don't know if it was with you, Richard, when I did it was let go. Was it let go?
Yeah, it was let go.
So one of the techniques that I use, which is this kind of NLP anchoring, mine is release.
Yeah, yours was release. Mine's let go because you did it on me. Sorry.
Yeah. And it did, when I said so we did this technique, and when I said to Richard, just say release, he's like, nah. And I said, it's let go, isn't it? He went, yeah, it's let go. And so the word that he needed that created the vibrational resonance of safety was different. But if I was teaching that, if it was a course, I'd go use this word. And then it's like, I am enough. Like, for me, that word does not resonate. Mindset. I've done a lot of work on not getting triggered by the word mindset. Even though I used to do the positive mindset thing for the school. I actually wanted to change it. They won't let me. And it's not the word mindset that bothers me. It's everybody who talks about mindset that knows nothing about the mind. It's like Uber and Google. And this is why our clients sometimes can't trust, because the language and the words that we're using might not resonate with them. And again, that's something that we can do in supervision, and especially when I'll just unpin you, Richard, thank you. Especially when somebody is having a challenge. I'm working with this client, this is the problem, we're on the 3rd session, nothing's going right. And I'll say it's probably because you're looking at the wrong thing. And so whoever it is will say what's going on. I'll say, it sounds like this. Like with your client, Emma, she's not anxious. She just cares.
Yeah.
I would love you to just try that with her. And just get her to feel that feeling of anxiety. And then just say, I feel anxious. And then just move away from the word and get to focus on the feeling, and then just say, I care. And then ask her which feels more like a truth, because the anxiety is a label that she's put on herself based on the construct of the world saying these symptoms are anxiousness.
Yeah.
But actually she probably just deeply cares. She overloves.
Marcus, Becky's just put a comment on saying, you've all made me feel more excited to get qualified. and get going now. I will definitely be booking a call, Marcus. Thank you.
Well, Becky, what I would ask, and this is what I'll ask of all of you. We're on 196 people in the group. I want to try and get that as big as possible.
And I think that's the joy of what you're offering, Marcus, the supervision, because in a lot of professional settings, there is supervision. And just doing a quick Google search at clinical supervision in healthcare, and it says it enhances patient safety, so your client safety, reduces burnout and improves confidence by offering a reflective space to discuss cases and clinical decisions. So it's not about helping with your, not only about helping with your client cases, it's about being able to reflect yourself, because some of the people, some of the cases that you're going to work on will undoubtedly affect you. I could see, Emma, when you was talking about that girl, for example, how much it means to you that you can help her. And her saying, yeah, and what you said that really like got to me was where you said, you know, she said, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. You know, she's not doing anything wrong, but she's so used to looking after others, and you know, you can only imagine what she's been through. She feels that she has to do everything exact so she doesn't get blame. So she wants to do it right, but she's already talking herself down. So because she doesn't want to feel that she's letting you down, so she's kind of talking herself down so you don't say you're doing that wrong. She's saying it to herself, preparing herself. So Marcus giving you that technique is giving you the confidence to be able to help her with that,
to stabilize
you know,
it. And also what Joe's just saying, there's something that's very interesting called cross transference. It's something that we do a lot when we do the supervision training, which is where you can be dealing with the client and all of a sudden something comes up and it triggers a memory or something in your subconscious mind. And so supervision is not therapy. It absolutely isn't. There's a very clear separation between supervision and therapy, but actually sometimes you just need that space to just go, this happened and I'm not too sure how to do it, or this client acted inappropriately and I don't know how to have that conversation. So it's, we can look at it on the clinical stuff, and that's the important stuff, right? Especially if you want to start to go into hospitals, you want to start to go into various different places, or you want to go into a more clinical space, they're going to ask you, have you got supervision?
You have to show that you've done your supervision.
You know.
So what I would say to you is myself and Marcus worked together for a long time until I left RTT. And we used to do our own supervision amongst us.
We did actually, we used to kind of do our own.
It was very supportive of each other, because we had to, because we were both singing from the same hymn sheet. No one else was, so we had to support each other through that. So
and you find that in the school. That's one of the advantages in the school. I've helped other members of staff in the school, and if I've had something, I've reached out to Joe, or I don't know if you know Sharon Hull. Sharon kind of trained around about the same time as Joe, so I did have that peer supervision while I was in the school. Don't necessarily need that supervision, but for me, if we're talking about this as a kind of a transactional experience, what do I get out of this besides the money bit? But the reason why I set the hub up is because I've always said that Facebook group and the resources, the free resources, will always be free. And the reason for that is I want a safe space where people can know, like, trust, and know that they're not going to get judged, that their Facebook posts aren't going to get taken down. I want to make it as open as possible.
Yes. Also, if you ask about cases in Marcus's group, it shows everyone else in the group, I can ask these questions, and it gets the conversation going, and everyone can put in their ideas, and it makes for a nice group, and it will attract, because the algorithm will pick that up in Facebook, and it'll attract other hypnotherapists from different modalities to join it too. So, and then you're getting a much wider experience.
I don't want people, it is mainly RTT people that are in there. There are a few people that aren't RTT, but actually what I want to do is I want to give a breadth and depth to that group, which it's around hypnosis, it's around transformational work, but I want to make that open and available to everybody. Because, as I say, I've worked with Paul McKenna, I've worked with Marissa, I've worked with other different people, and there are crossovers with all of this stuff. You know, RTT is, you know, integrated family systems and there's nothing new in there. It's all these techniques are used in different ways. It's just that, you know, Marissa has created a framework that does work and it's easy to teach, and it does work, but there is a depth that you can go even further to in these tools.
And also, outside of RTT, your clients probably have never heard of RTT before, but they've heard of hypnotherapy. And that's something you should always remember too. So there's
and one of the things that I'm actually looking to do now is to talk about transformational coaching. So again, how can you create, you don't need to talk about the tool. So again, this comes into supervision when we come into branding. Okay, so Emma, you're a hypnotherapist, but you're not doing hypnotherapy. You know, if I was going to brand you now based on that client, it would be something like this. Hi, my name's Emma, and I help people to finally release the feelings of over caring so that you can start to fill up your own cup and live the life that you're always supposed to live. Like, that's just come off the top of my head, right?
Mhm.
How many people will hear that message and go, I don't care what you do, I want that.
Yeah.
Because it resonates, right? Those words resonate. And so that's why the brand builder AI that I've built up is all about that. Put that in. Like, nobody's interested in your Makita drill. Nobody, you know, your RTT, your hypnotherapy. They're interested in the results that you get and you being able to engage with that client to say, I can take you on a journey because I have the experience and the tools, which is what I'm giving in supervision. If anybody's got any questions, you can get in touch with me one-to-one. That's fine. And please share your experience of tonight on the group, because I want to try and get as many people on these lives. The next live is going to be next Tuesday with Kate Harrison. Do not miss that. Kate does Chromie, it's color therapy stuff. But I know she deeply dives into psychology. So the stuff she talks about on TED Talks and all the rest of it is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm going to be really digging into some of the psychology of color, how that's going to help you with your brand, how that's going to help you with your clients. And she's going to hate me because I'm going to get her to reveal all of the secrets that she charges a fortune to celebrities and other people to do. So that's my plan anyway. So I hope that was good. Thank you, everybody. And my last thing is if you know somebody who would benefit from sessions like this or being part of this community, please do invite them in, because, as I say, when good people come together, we can change the world. So thank you.
Thank you, Marcus.
And I will see you all around. Okay, cheers.
Bye.